Jake, I don't even really know you. And it's like, it's weird because this call, it's almost like I'm meeting you kind of for the first time. So that's a little bit strange, but it's also really cool because it speaks to like the power of the music that we're putting together and how I'm just kind of amazed and fascinated that people that don't even know each other, and this was the same for me and Jonathan when we first started making music together, but people that don't even know each other could be so connected to create songs like what we've been creating. So kind of fascinating.
Yeah, man. Like, our process is super unusual. I've been explaining it to friends and family, and they're like, "What? You make a drum track first, and then the song builds up from that? Doesn't make any sense." I'm like, I know. Trust me. This is really bizarre. We've never set foot in the same state. But we're making music together, and it's working. It's getting better.
Jake, where are you from? I'm up in Seattle, and I know Jonathan is near Cincinnati, but I'm not sure. Are you in St. Louis? Is that where you live?
Yeah, I'm on the Illinois side, so the town is Bethalto, Illinois, but it's easier just to say St. Louis because that's like our major metro region.
Got it. Okay. Well,
yeah, so St. Louis is like 30 minutes away. Chicago is still like 5 hours that way. So it's maybe 4. I don't go to Chicago a lot, but
I think the correct terminology is middle of nowhere.
Yeah, the middle of the West, where
it's a good place to be. Well, so for anyone who's watching this is Poet and the Joker, and we are a band that came about in a way I can't even explain, but maybe we'll try to on this call. But, all the three of us, we're kind of multi-instrumentalists, and we all do a little bit of production, and we all do a little bit of songwriting. And so it's kind of interesting how it all came together. But basically, like you said, Jake, you pretty much lay down a drum track, and it's always going to be interesting and different. It's always going to be tight. Like, your drumming is so spot on. It's like, it's just so tight. I don't know another way to explain it, but how would you describe your drum style and how you, how do you play, and what were some of your influences?
Man, geez. So that's such a great question, and I haven't thought about this at all. But okay, so I think I took piano lessons at a really early age, and I didn't like it. I enjoyed what I was doing, like I enjoyed the finished product of the song or whatever, but I did not like having to go to lessons every week. And I was like 7, 8, 9. And then when I was 10, I got my first guitar, and it was around that same age that I heard Metallica and Pantera for the first time. And I was like, hold on, electric guitar? So I got my first electric guitar at 11 and got my first drum kit at 14. And I was like trying to learn how to play Metallica songs and graduate up to like Pantera and some heavier stuff. And neighbors started coming over and jamming. And I ended up playing drums in a technical death metal band for like 2006 to 2010, like 4 years, and switched over to bass for a punk band for a handful of years. It was like, I sold my kit a couple years ago just because, we've had 2 kids, and we went from a really, really, really big house to a small house. We downsized a lot and didn't have any room for it anymore. So, my drums they're programmed, but they come from a place of being a drummer for a couple decades and going on stage and performing. And, I think the way that I approach a song is like, or a drum track is like, I want to have it sound interesting. It draws you in. Why would he play like that? This isn't normal, bass snare. This isn't a normal rock beat. It's different. Everything's a little different. There's a lot of cymbal work. There's a lot of punctuation with crashes. I'm sure you hear it when you hear the tracks, but, so, I spend a lot of time, probably 3 to 4 hours programming the drum, like from start to finish. And I spend another hour or two humanizing every hit, playing with the velocity to really make it sound like a person is playing it. So it doesn't just sound like that robotic, like keyboard drum kind of thing.
Yeah, I get that. Like I've programmed drums sometimes, and when I do, like I'll take the hi-hat and I'll make the second hit just a little bit quieter than the first one.
Yep.
And then the third hit will be a little louder in it, and I'll alternate it like that because that's naturally how a drummer plays a hi-hat.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like the 1 and the 3 are usually just a little, especially the 1, it's just usually a little bit more emphasis or something. And it's like, I don't care if it's programmed or if I'm sitting there playing it. I want it to sound like a drummer, kind of. I think what you're saying, right?
Absolutely. No, yeah.
I think one of the reasons why it's probably been easy for you and I to connect musically is because I'm a drummer too at heart, although I play bass in this band, and I love that every bit as much. But I can hear the technical things that you're doing, and I think I usually kind of catch on to the ideas that you're putting out there in your drum tracks. So, and then Jonathan, you and I have been playing together for a couple of years now. I'm not sure like exactly how you and Jake started playing together, but in this project, you're doing a lot of different things. You're really the only one playing guitar in this music. You and Jake are both doing some vocal responsibilities. I've definitely bowed out of that side of it, but also like I think you're doing so much to help put the song together in terms of just the songwriting piece. So it's like, kind of you're doing all of that, but, how do you see your role in this and how you're bringing it all together like that?
There was a lot there. I almost forgot that I was part of this interview. I was just watching you guys interested, and then it occurred to me, oh wait, hold on, maybe I should talk, or they're going to ask me a question soon. But anyhow, my role in this, it's I'm kind of left with whatever the two of you, the way that this has all come about. I'm kind of left with whatever you two offer me, and it's usually pretty solid. I think what makes things especially rich for me is that I'm playing with two drummers, even though you're a bass player. I've always been such a fan of technical music, just because I'm not. I study music so much, and I still feel like I just, sometimes I get reminded of the simple things. I think we were talking the other day about something, and you were breaking down, Jake, like, yeah, it's a triplet thing, man. And I took a step away and I thought, oh yeah, they're triplets. Right. Of course they're triplets. And so all that to say, I feel very supported by you guys, and musically very supported by you guys. And so I really think I could put anything on there. I know once the bass is there and once the drums are there, I just kind of add the color, and singing is kind of a recent, I guess, invention, just out of necessity. I think people want to hear vocals more than just, riffs and shredding, even though I liked it growing up, but I think people want to hear that. And I want to be able to give that also. So, I mean, Kevin's out of it. He shared that, and what Jake does vocally is something that I'm not capable of. So we share our strengths, I think, in this group, even though I think there's still a lot to be shared by both Jake and Kevin. As far as what I do is pretty tapped out. I got the strings and I sing, and sometimes I'll come up with some creative lyrics, but I still think there's a lot more room for creativity here.
I think it's funny, man.
It's so funny because, like, if you asked any one of the three of us, it would be like, oh, I only just do this. Like, I only just do that. And then I'm just adding a layer, and you're like, I'm just throwing on the bass, and John's, I'm only just adding on to it. It's like, at that point, the full entire direction of the song is complete, and I've done very little. Kevin, you feel like you've done very little. John, you're like, I'm just sprinkling in a little bit of finishing touches. Like, how did we make a song that?
So I gotta say something. I latched on to a couple things that both of you guys just said, and I'm gonna ask you more about that real quick. So Jake, you mentioned you started at Lars Ulrich and then you graduated up to harder stuff from there. Let's be honest, like most drummers would maybe try to graduate at Metallica. So technically speaking, you're setting the bar extremely high.
I suppose so. Okay, but like if you're 14 years old and you just heard one by Metallica, younger, yeah. I heard it first at like 10 or 11, but when I was 14 and I first got my kit, the goal was to be able to play one by Metallica, the breakdown, and do it with the double kicks and everything. So I was in there trying for like a year, just doing that every day for a year until I could get that. And once you have the coordination to do the, feet stuff and hand stuff and change cymbals, the world's your oyster on the kit. And like, I really got into technical death metal at an early age, and it was like the harder and the faster and the more difficult, the better. Whether that's true or not, that's how I perceived it as an angry, outcast teenager with very few friends. It was like the heavier the metal could be, the more it soothed the soul.
Well, I mean, that kind of music, especially from a drummer's point of view, there's something primal about it too, and it's powerful. And I think also as a drummer, and maybe it's the same way on guitar, I'm not sure, because I'm not good enough on guitar to even say that, but I think you're just always pushing yourself, especially when you're younger and you're like, you're just kind of learning your instrument for the first several years, and, you really trying to push yourself. Technically, you're trying to push yourself. I think maybe all three of us could say this, but we probably all went through that stage. And then you get to a point where you're a little bit more concerned about the song itself, necessarily, rather than like, how much can I show off in this moment? But it's more about the song, right? But I think then there are times in the song, where Jonathan just needs to do a little shredding, and it just has to happen, and it's just what's called for, and then he's able to do it, or whatever, And then, yeah, go ahead.
No, the way those solos just pour out of him, it's just like he's just flexing a muscle. It's just a solo pours out into the track. Unbelievable. I mean, some of the best solos I've heard are on our songs. It's unreal. And like, I can shred, so I spent years just learning how to alternate pick and kind of do the string skips if you're doing tremolo picking. But I couldn't write a solo if you put a gun to my head. I mean, I can't write like in a key like that. I can write riffs and I can cobble them together and I can assemble a song, but it's never like something that melodically makes sense with the rest of it. I couldn't ever do that. So
look, here's one thing that I've learned, Jake, is that you don't necessarily have to play in a key. Our most recent song is a good example of that, where I put down a bass line and then I realized, oh crap, this isn't even in a key. I sent it to Jonathan anyway.
Yeah. This is that mystery magic that none of us can explain. We somehow put together really cool, really fun, super engaging songs, and none of us really know how.
Well, I got to ask Jonathan something, because I got a little bit of an idea, Jake, about your influences. Jonathan, here's my understanding, is that you're most influenced by Michael Bolton, right?
You nailed it. I love Michael Bolton.
But there's got to be more than just that.
Is there?
I have a feeling because, and yes, I know you a little bit, right? But I know that you're a student of music, not just an audience, and that I know that you're a guy that can be found in his basement studying the chord progressions and stylings of some like small Asian country that no one's ever heard of, and then going and listening to Michael Bolton. I'm just trying to figure out how would you describe your influences?
So I'll kind of weave it in as best as I can, starting with Michael Bolton. As a child, I was a lover. And I don't even know that I really knew what that meant, because I wasn't allowed to date or to go out and do anything. But there was this station 103.5, love songs on the coast 103.5, and at night I would listen to that, and there were all these mushy love songs, and even Journey's love songs were on there. And I mean, I would I don't know what the hell was wrong with me. I would cry myself to sleep at night. This is pathetic. I'm sharing this. I hear myself saying it. And Michael Bolton, he really did it for me. But so there's that part of me, right? And the thing about those songs is they wrote really good songs. There's a reason why those songs, when I was listening to them, had been around for many, many years, So my influences vary from like 80s shred to Latin music, a lot of diversity, because just my culture and the way that I was raised. I mean, I was always privy to so many different things. But one thing that was poignant about the love songs, Coast 103, and as I started growing up, I started thinking more about why are these songs sustainable? Why do some songs have, a shelf life of 10 minutes? Some songs can last for 300 years. So then I started thinking, well, there's got to be something more to this than just things vibrating and sounding good. There's got to be something to it. And that kind of was the little tiny snowball that started growing inside of me and wanting to educate myself. And what a task that has been, because at this point in my life, I don't even know that I really know anything when it comes to music. So I think I've wasted a lot of my life trying to learn it, because it's just beyond me. So understanding what makes the song sustainable, how the song notes work together to create certain psychological effects in the listener, and also from the person that's creating it. But at this point, man, I barely even, that was a couple of weeks ago. Now I'm over it. All my instruments are kind of dusty. I think I've heard all of these new guitar players and all this new music, and I think I've retired in a way from even wanting to play the guitar anymore.
Man, and I know that you and I both really like Bruce Lee. And Jake, I don't know how you feel about Bruce Lee, but I freaking love Bruce Lee.
Like martial arts Bruce Lee?
Yeah, man. I don't know about any other Bruce Lees. That's the only one I know.
I just mean I thought we were talking about music.
Well, I'm going to tie it all in.
I was trying to...
Don't be scared, okay? I'm thinking about a philosophy that I got from Bruce Lee, which is that you get to a level of mastery and then you stop thinking. And then there's a freedom in that. I kind of hear Jonathan describing that a little bit in his playing, where it's you almost don't have to think anymore. Does that sound anywhere near correct?
Yeah, I want to say yes. I really do. But that's a cop out. I mean, honestly, there's so many people out there that really know what they're doing. I dabble. I'm a dabbler, He cobbles things together. I dabble with things together. And I've learned a lot. So I have a big array of understanding, but I haven't a focus. And I think that's what keeps me from ever really becoming someone that's going to tell you oh yeah, let's get deep into this subject, because I'm just kind of spread out like real thin mayo over a super large piece of bread that is music. So yeah, I can talk with people, a little bit, but I know my place and I know when to shut up. So, we'll maybe one day, we'll talk about that whole mastery thing. Right now, I'm still trying to figure out just the major scale. I mean, there's all these modes and things like that, and harmonies and rhythms and stuff. I mean, whenever I listen to you guys play, I mean, I'm like profoundly interested. Like when I listen to you play the bass, or especially when I listen to Jake playing the drums, I'm like, wow, wow, makes me feel like, you know, like a virgin.
Well, you look like a virgin, so you
It was a
know.
Madonna, little, you know.
I think Bruce Lee also had a certain saying about being humble, and that probably applies to you too.
I was, I was trying to, while you guys were talking, I was, the question was, is there any other Bruce Lee? Well, there's actually a Bruce Leroy, and I don't know if you guys know.
Yeah, I know Bruce Leroy, man. I was a child of the 70s and 80s, so yeah, that was a cult classic for sure.
Kiss My Converse.
Jake will have to go back and watch that later because I can tell he's not sure what we're talking about.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm going to link that in the description of this video, though, so that everybody can be introduced to that cult classic.
Is it the
send that
Last Dragon?
I was. That's why I didn't say the name of it because I wasn't exactly sure what it was called, but I've seen it at least 10 times.
Yeah.
And
Time.
now, all right, so I'm hoping that people can get to know us a little bit, but then I'm also hoping that I can get to know you guys a little bit because for anyone who's watching this, like I said, this is the first time that I'm even meeting Jake. So that's kind of weird, but we're all kind of just getting to know each other. But now I think both you guys have side projects and other projects that you've worked on recently. Jake, can you tell us a little bit about your main gig right now?
For like my main the
Musically
other band
speaking.
that I'm working on?
Yeah.
Okay. Hubris Debris is my solo project. And that's just me doing all of it. Guitars, drums, bass, vocals, mixing, mastering, and then releasing it myself. And the whole entire goal, and I had this goal for a really long time, was to make an album all on my own. That's just me and no influence and no help from anyone else, and just put it out there in the world. And that was the goal. 2 albums out, and it's been cathartic, and I've been using it like the therapy session. So something that bothers me, I write a song about it. I feel like I get something off my chest. And that it's death metal. It's my solo project, and I have my other band is Et Longorum, which is interesting. It's a lot like this. The guitarist is in Indonesia, doesn't speak English. The singer is in Canada, and he speaks English, but he's Canadian. And I'm here in the States, and we just email each other tracks and cobble them together like that. And there's a big language barrier between our guitarist and the both of us, but we've been making it work. We have a couple EPs out, and that's an international remote death metal project.
Wow, man. Okay, I'm going to link both of those projects in the description too, because I want people to hear that stuff.
Sweet.
I haven't heard that project. I've heard Hubris Debris, and I'm very familiar with that music and listen quite a bit, and it's just crushing music. It's killer. It's heavy and diverse music, so I think people are really going to dig that for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of influences that go into that, but like the easiest way to explain it is it's groove death metal. So it's death metal, but it's the basis, the foundation is like something that's groovy or something that's headbangable. And it's not too crazy technical. It has some technical parts and some blast beats and stuff, but like I think the whole purpose of it was to find something that you could bang your head to.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and it's that power that you were talking about earlier. It's right there every time. So, and then Jonathan, you and I have obviously had a lot of projects together in the last couple of years, but what other stuff do you have in the works, musically speaking, aside from Poet and the Joker right now?
Well, that's it. I mean, with you and I, Kevin, we put out a lot of music, and we have a cadence that's pretty, it seems inexhaustible at this point. We just keep doing it. And I'm pretty satisfied with that. I've had a difficult time in that space trying to find other artists. I mean, I'm a father, a happily married man. I've got a professional life, but I also have this monkey on my back, which is music that has always been there for me my whole life. That I know some people, as they grow and live their lives, they put that thing down and attribute that to being some childish hobby. But for me, it's deeper than that. And so I kept pursuing it, and I didn't really have any real goal in mind. I've worked with different people since when I moved. I lived in Ohio now, and I've worked with. When I moved here a couple of years ago, I was kind of in the hip hop scene, doing a lot of hip hop music, and I stopped playing live a long time ago. It's kind of I won't get into it, but playing live and me, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. I kind of was a troublemaker and made a lot of bad decisions, so I stopped playing live, but I, kind of in the closet player, and I studied and I write, and I had a whole bunch of things that I started and didn't complete, and then just through the social space started meeting folks and seeing who was interested in making music, and a lot of people, like I said, they talk the talk, but I met you, Kevin, and you were all about it. I mean, the communication was there, the professionalism was there, the product was there, and so for me, I felt like this is a good use of the limited resources that I have, that being time. So, and it just worked. And since we've been working together, I've also kind of mingled a little bit with some others, Jake being one of them. In fact, lesser known detail, I guess, we had a project. We originally had a project that was kind of hijacked, and that's a whole story in and of itself. But before the Poet and Joker project began, there was actually another album that could be conceivably the precursor to the Poet and Joker. But anyhow, I'm here for the season, I suppose. No, I'm not here for the season. I'm here for a reason. And I feel like I'm exactly where I should be musically. So I appreciate what Jake is doing and what Jake has done, being able to do all of that, mixing it, producing it. I try to put myself with intelligent people that I look up to and are doing good things. I try to make those assessments within myself with what limited information I have, which is why working with both of you has been, for me personally, like an A+ move. So anyhow, not sure that I entirely landed that or nailed that question, but take what you want from there, and maybe it's time for the next question.
All right. Well, if you're going to let me pick what I want, I'm going to say so far what I've learned about you is that you're a virgin and you're in the closet, and that's okay. That's okay. And we're mingling. So, all three of those things.
Phenomenal.
Thank you. Well, I was thinking we should probably talk a little bit about our music, I mean, that's what brought us all together. And I'm super psyched right now because we have a brand new release that just came out yesterday. Right now it's Saturday, the 25th of October. And this new song came out yesterday, and I want to talk about that. But first, I want to talk a little bit about some of the other things that we released before this, and kind of where it all started. So I don't know. Would one of you guys share a little bit about our first release and how that all came together, and why somebody might want to listen to it?
I'll take a stab at that.
Yeah, I'm going to leave that for you, Jonathan, because I got big feelings about it. But it's coming from the I just send some drum tracks out into cyberspace and people do stuff with them angle.
Well, I'll set it up for you, and you can come in where you see an angle for you to fit in. So it all kind of started, I don't know, maybe 6 months before Kevin and I were working together, maybe longer than that. I don't know. So there's an album out there, the Woolologist album, and that's what I was referring to earlier, the one that kind of got hijacked from us. But it's out there and it exists, and it started with you sending me, you gifted me, I think is how you phrased it. You said, hey, in fact, this was you. This is all you. This is coming back to me now. we had these random conversations, and you mentioned to me that, hey, I had something for you. You just do what you want with it. Something like that.
Yeah.
He sent over this drum track, and it was labeled number 1, drum track number 1. And the rest of the drum tracks have been named the same, 2, 3, 4, up until where we're at right now with, I think, 15. But anyhow, 1 through 4 belong to a project that is out there. If you looked for it, it's there. I think it's still pretty cool music. But anyhow, he gives it to me and he says, do what you want with it. I just wanted to give this to you. And he did. He gave it to me, and I took it and went with it. And I just started working with it and recording to it, and I sent it back to him. And I couldn't quite read you at that point, Jake. I didn't know how involved you wanted to be, but I'm kind of obsessive, so I kept I feel like I kept luring you back in, here, listen to this iteration of the song, listen to this, or listen to this. And then he started sharing feedback with me, oh, I think it would be cool if you did that and put that on the left speaker, or if you did that and put it on the right speaker. And then I started getting some what felt like buyback from him. And so we wrote one song, and we both liked the one song. And then I don't know if I requested another drum beat or if you had one that you offered to me, but that's kind of the catalyst of how this all began. And so after about 4 of those drum projects, I had already been developing and working a music relationship with Kevin. And I said, hey, Kevin, let's, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, either of you guys, because memory is not the best, but I think that's how I looped us all in together. I said something to you, either you, Kevin, or you, Jake. And then we took the 5th track, which became the first track to Poet and the Joker. And that first track is Control.
Control, yeah.
Yes, and that's kind of how the ball started rolling. For my opinion, we just kept doing it, right? Does that sound about right?
Yeah, no, that's super accurate. And I couldn't remember if it was just me presenting you with a drum track as a gift or whether it was a challenge. Because there's a part of me that kind of remembers being how cool would it be to just have someone mail you a drum track and you have to do something with it. You can do whatever, but you have the rhythmic foundation already there, which is not the way that 99% of people write songs. Most people write a song by picking up the guitar, and they'll strum out some chords that they like, and they find a progression they like. Or I know a lot of guitar players who write on piano first and then transcribe it on guitar because it's easier to just hit your chords right there. But so I kind of feel like I propose it as a challenge. Here's a drum track, you can do whatever. Dealer's choice. It's a choose your own adventure. And yeah, that's kind of continued, and we're still doing it. I don't think you guys have asked me to do anything different on the drums. I mean, I feel like you're just do whatever, and we're going to build off of that. And we keep building off of it. And I feel like we didn't really know what our place was. And I feel like lately we've really developed a repertoire between the 3 of us to be able to speak back and forth about what could happen or what might sound better if you did it this way, or in a constructive, build each other up way, to whether we get to the finished product and it's a cool song that all 3 of us like, right? I mean, does that?
Yeah, 100%.
It's an accurate assessment, yeah. Yeah,
for sure, and that's how I remember it all too. And Jonathan, that project that you mentioned, I'll link that in the description too, because I think people should check that out. And like you said, it's a little bit of history in terms of it is really how we all 3 of us started playing together in a kind of an unexpected way, And that was a really cool album, and some of the songs on there were just bruisers. If you like music that's technical and the guitar work, there's a lot of pretty stellar guitar work on top of very technical drums, and I think people will really dig that if they get a chance to hear it. So I'll put it in there. And then now the 3 of us, as you mentioned, Jake, like we're sort of getting more and more cohesive and kind of understanding each other a little bit more as time has gone on. So earlier in 2025, then we released our first EP as Poet and the Joker. And like you said, that was sort of an extension of that first project that we had been working on, but then a new identity altogether. And I don't know when we decided that this was a band, but it's definitely a band, and it's like its own identity at this point.
Most people jam together first, and we didn't do that.
All right. And so so on the sidelines, Jake, I had been kind of like a little insecure about whether or not this is going on with the project when we were working on the first EP. Like, I didn't know, even though you kept giving us more music, I just didn't know, like, if you were that interested in it. And I would share it with Kevin. I'm like, I don't know if this guy's that interested. I don't want to bother him with this. I hope he likes it. I don't know if he likes it. So I think it was a month or two ago, I got all of my feels because you posted on your Instagram. I think it was your Instagram. You posted in your story. You said, "Oh, my band." And you referred to Poet and the Joker as your band. And I think I had one of those moments where I just kind of and then I thought to myself, like, my band, like I had. So yeah, it was this really corny feeling. For me, that's when I felt like, yeah, this is my band. It's not my side project; it's my band, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's how it all worked out for me.
Yeah, I remember everything exactly the same way. Well, we released that EP. I think it was maybe like late spring, early summer. I can't remember exactly when it was. Galaxy Crossings.
Galaxy Crosses.
Like everybody touched every part of it, right down from the songwriting to the execution of it, and then the artwork and everything for the cover art. It was just like, yeah, definitely. Like you said, Jonathan, it's a band. Like everyone's touching everything, and it's kind of cool. Then we released that EP, and we had already started working on a couple other songs, and we just kind of kept rolling at that point. But then shortly thereafter, we put out a single, right, which was "Leave the Lights Off," and that thing was, I think, even like it was sort of like us topping ourselves from our first release in a way. I think musically and the entire performance and song itself, I felt like we're kind of at a different level.
And it's so catchy. You'll find yourself singing it for days after listening to it once. Sing it. I'll come home and my kids will be like, "Leave the lights off." Like, yeah, that's my song.
We at my house, my kids love Jake. They love the growling. That's what they love. Anytime they hear, because my poor sons, they have to hear my music all the time. Because I think that's why I make music, to listen to it. Because I'm not that interested in music. I write music and I listen to my own music. It's weird, but my sons, they have to listen to it, and so whenever the Poker and the Joker, Poker and the Joker, whenever I'm drinking too much of this water, it just gets me all goosey. Anyhow, yeah. So whenever Jake's parts come up, my kids go crazy. They just love it. My little 3-year-old says, "Daddy, that's scary," but he wants to keep hearing it more and more and more and more. Which, by the way, I think is a really cool thing about our band is that we've kind of have this, it's like a hybrid, whenever I hear, like, I'm not one to talk about or speak on death metal or those bands, cause I'm very limited with what I know, but I don't hear a lot of groups that sound like ours, where we have that blending of vocal styles and also kind of in the middle of those other musical styles that exist. It seems to me like that is kind of celebrated in one little designated spot. You get the growling, it's just kind of in that one little world. So I feel like our music has kind of opened up some doors of possibilities that maybe people just didn't want to open up or didn't think that they could. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's one thing that I think is pretty unique about what we're doing.
Yeah, for sure. Like the Doors of we should have called ourselves the Doors. That would have been a good name for the band.
The Doors.
Well, I gotta ask. So, like you say, we have 2 vocalists in this band, and I'm not one of them. But how would you guys describe each other's? How would you describe each other's approach to vocals or your sound and vocals? I think it's harder to maybe describe your own sound. So try and experiment. I want you to describe each other's sound.
Okay, I feel like Jonathan's a really awesome singer, and he's like a super in the closet like rocker. Like he is a rocker, and no one else knows it except for he doesn't know it, his family doesn't know it, but we know it. Like the dude was destined to be on a microphone. He's got a really awesome pitch and just amazing control over his vocals, and the timbre of his voice is just so real, and it doesn't, you know what I mean? It doesn't sound like that polished AI crap that you hear. And I'm not saying your voice is unpolished. I'm just saying it sounds so human, but it's so good. It's like this sounds like my next door neighbor who knows how to sing really well. The fact that you released a bunch of music where you weren't singing, it was a missed opportunity for your voice. I mean, to sing. You've got an awesome singing voice.
Yeah, man. Like when Jonathan and I first started working together, it was all instrumentals. I didn't even know that he could sing. And then one day he's like, hey, I want to try something, try some vocals. And right away I was like, dude, this is a hidden talent right here.
Dude, I bothered him about it for years. I'd listen to his music on, I think I found him on YouTube. You were posting more music on YouTube than you were anywhere else years ago, Jonathan, when you and I started talking. You were like developing a YouTube community. And so I'd be like, when are you going to sing, man? When are we going to hear those pipes? You're like, that was kind of your answer. It was like, nah. But I'm glad you did, because it sounds awesome. And it's the driving force of our band. I feel like that's the right cadence, is mostly Jonathan, sprinkle in a little bit of growling wherever it's necessary, and that sounds good. I think that brings a really interesting dynamic. And this is me, because I don't I just started growling in like 2017, and I've been trying to get better, but it's a labor of love. And every time you try to learn a new growl, it hurts. And you have to stop singing. You have to stop trying for the day, because you've crossed a threshold where you're now doing harm to your voice. And you have to find that pocket where you can make a noise that you like, where it doesn't hurt. And you could do it like my main growl that I use at Hubris Debris. I could speak to you for hours in that voice and I'd be fine. But I start trying to make a new sound, like that tunnel throat stuff. I'm still trying it, but if I could master tunnel throat without it hurting really bad, Hubris Debris would blow up, man. I haven't figured it out, and I've been trying for 7 years or something like that. So sprinkle in a little bit of growling. I think that's the magic sauce for us.
So Jonathan, did he pretty much nail it by calling it growling? Or I think there's more to it than just that.
I'm kind of humbled and happy to hear that, because like I said earlier, I admire you guys. I don't try to be in circles with people that I don't look up to. I'm not trying to regress in any way, shape, or form at this point in my life. I got too much at stake in my personal life. So everyone and everything that I do, I'm hoping to be maybe the least best in there, and like hold on and anchor myself onto that so I can keep growing and keep growing. So hearing that, is nice to hear, because, opening up my voice and singing, for me, it's comes with a lot of vulnerability, and it's still not something yet I feel like I've arrived at. Because even at home when I record, I feel like I'm still kind of holding myself back. So this is like the fuel that I think I need to help me. So thank you for saying those very thoughtful words. And that's something I'll lead into that with thoughtful words. One thing about Jake is, his vocal style, and just who you are and who you are as a musician. It leaves me with a lot of curiosity, because I feel like there's so much about Jake that I don't know musically. Like I've seen his posts, and I've seen him with his instruments, and he does all the instruments. He sings. I mean, so who knows what he doesn't do? I mean, you make mead, and you're really gifted at that. I mean, you write all of our blurbs. I go through our conversations just to find just the simple things he says. And like, look, I find blurbs and I copy and paste those and put those on our Instagram posts, because it's so well thought out and well said. A lot of times I think people that are technical, sometimes that works against them. A lot of folks, I don't know why, but folks will say, oh, they're so technical that well, yeah, I mean, they're really skilled at it. And, technicality doesn't mean without emotion. It just means that like they've taken the time to figure out how it's supposed to work and the most efficient way of doing it. And it sounds flawless. It sounds really great. So you can't take away from that. It's just another level of skill set that I think intimidates folks. And I was slightly intimidated by his music when I first heard it. I thought, okay, like I'm going to really have to think about what I'm playing here and really be really precise in what I'm doing. And his vocals are no different. Even though he's only done so much, when I hear it, it's very rhythmic and very strong. And I'm always in awe of that, because the timbre of my voice is like high. So me being myself and hearing my voice, it's like, it's like a bunch of like, puberty teenagers like on a roller coaster, like, but like his is like meat and potatoes. It's like, like, but anyhow, when he sung Broken Lines, I thought about just the story that you told in Broken Lines was so vivid for me, and it made me want more, because that was the second song that we did with Poet and Joker. The first one was Control, and you shared some vocals, and then for me, I began thinking like, and I think that's where the Poet and the Joker began, because maybe I was the poet and the voice, the growl was the Joker. I don't know. The more I think about it now, I'm not so sure anymore who's the poet and who is the Joker. Which of those two personalities is the poet and which one is the Joker? I haven't quite figured it out yet. And that was because of Broken Lines. When you sang that song and you put it out there, I thought, okay, now this guy can actually write a really good song. Because my songs are kind of abstract and poetic in a way. So I thought, okay, well, maybe that's why I'm the poet. You just put words together, fluffy words, and let the artist or let the audience interpret it. That's a style and it serves its purpose. But the way that you portrayed what you did in that song, and I'm not going to go into it because I'd like the listeners to go there and search it for themselves, was very vivid, and it painted a very real picture for me. So as a vocalist, I want more. And so I'm kind of selfish in that I want more of the growling and what you do to be on our next songs, even if it takes you a while and you're motivated by feeling. And, you mentioned earlier that it's kind of cathartic for you, and, you come out when you feel it, you put it on paper. So I would encourage you in the future to do more of that, because it was A+.
Yeah, that's interesting. And you said you've always been, I got to piggyback on this, and I'm circling back to earlier, because you mentioned, I'm not sure if Jake's interested. I'm not sure if he really wants to be on board, and I kind of remember when I sent the first drum tracks for this, I was like, I don't know how I remember that same feeling. I'm not sure how committed I want to be, because like I am a husband and I'm a father, and I like those already take up so much time, and I have a full-time job that I have to do, and I make mead. I make a lot of mead. I probably brew 100 gallons a year, and I don't drink that much. It's mostly given away to family and friends and like donation events that are like for charity and stuff. But I always fear my real big fear is that I'm going to get involved in a band and I'm going to be the one who is not keeping up, who's not contributing up to the right amount of pace that everyone else wants. And like this is something that's it doesn't keep me up at night, because music is a hobby for me. It's a love, it's a passion, but it's a hobby. It's like I have to get through my whole entire day. I got to get the kids on the bus. I got to go to work, kids off the bus, homework. I'm going to, cook dinner and like, then maybe I'll be able to think about music a little bit. So it's always just been a fear that I'm going to be the lead weight. I'm going to be the person who's got the brakes on when everyone else wants to push the gas. And like, so I've really, honestly, you should see how long it takes me to write a Hubris Debris song. Like on my phone, I use a voice recorder, like a voice memo app. And I'll play the guitar for 1 to 3 hours. And I might write one riff that I like, and I'll push the record button and I'll record that one riff. And so I have probably, like right now, I've got 150 unused riffs. And at some point in time, I'll figure out which ones sound good together and I'll work them all into a song. But that entire process usually takes about 2 years to come up with one song. And I've got 2 that are in the works right now for Hubris Debris, but like I have a similar problem writing lyrics. Lyrics is the hardest thing for me to do, because whenever I do like get down and really focus on a song, it comes out so straightforward. And I feel like everyone else writes so abstract and they throw out words that make you think different things. But when I write a song, it's like I'm telling you a story, or I'm telling you what I don't like, or I've got a couple songs about well, I shouldn't even get into that. We can edit this out. I'm coming back to the idea that I'm scared that I'm not going to be fast enough, even though I am committed. I'm committed to being in a band that, like, we all have different expectations of each other, and I expect this to be fun. Like, that's my one expectation for all this, is that we can have fun and we can try to make some music together. And if it takes 6 months, if it takes a year, I'm not in a big rush, but I'm happy to try to keep up. And I feel like we have, but yeah, I think that's really the only reason why I didn't want to commit, because I was afraid that I wasn't going to be, keep up the pace enough. Like, you know what I mean? Does that make sense, Jonathan? Like where I said it? Because I don't want to be the one who's not matching the vibe. And because I've tried to start side projects with other people who I'm like, come on, let's go. I'm waiting. Nothing's happening. And it's like I get ghosted or something. And I've already put, 4 or 5 songs in at this point, and it's just a completely lost, dead project. And those songs will never see the light of day. And it's a huge waste of time. It's the worst feeling in the world. It's like I lost a child or lost a puppy or something. It's yeah. This is working out really well, I think.
Well,
smile at the end.
I was like, I know you asked for Jonathan to say something, but he was mystified, so deep in thought. So I just jumped right in there. I want to bring us up to what's happening right now, because I'm talking about our pace and everything. We now have 3 releases, 1 EP plus 2 singles. And we just released this song called Promises You Made. And I thought that the last release was killer. And like we set the bar even higher than our first release. And then this one, I'm like so pumped about this song. I think people are going to just really catch on to it. It is so unique, but it's very powerful. And I think I said in the beginning of this interview, the way it came together for me is that you sent a drum track out to us, And I instantly thought, I'm hearing Latin roots and rock roots, and the bass line popped into my brain just like instantly for this thing. It was not just one bass line, but a couple of different ones. And he kind of just threw it all down in one night and sent it off to Jonathan, and didn't even realize, like I said before, it's not even in a key. I'm like, what did I just send this guy? It's like a complete mess almost. And he goes, what key is this in, man? And I had to go, ooh, sorry, I don't think it's in a key. But I think it had the right feel, though. I think it had that, I think it captured the almost sort of a Latin jazz sort of a texture and approach to the bass line in certain places, and then other parts where it was more of a groove. But Jonathan then took that thing and captured it, and I think some of the Latin roots behind the drums and bass, then he took those and explored on those and took them to a different level altogether. But Jonathan, I was kind of hoping that you could talk about your approach to the guitar parts after we put down the drums and bass and sent it to you.
Kind of have to go back a little bit. Don't want to make this a long story, but there was Jake and I had this running joke, I suppose. So maybe serious. I think he really wants to, but he kind of confided in me that he aspires to be more of a Latino man. And I appreciate, I am a Latino man. So him bringing that to me, I felt kind of honored. Like because I'm very much white passing. So people don't ask me like, hey, John, how do I become more of how do I do that? Which it's physically impossible, but let's not even play this game. Let's assume we can. Let's do that. Let's go from that angle. So we talked about foods. We talked about beers. We talked about guitar music and all of that. And we just kind of shelved it for a while. And every now and again, the conversation would come up, how's it going? Are you working on it still? Are you progressing in your development as a strong Latino man? And so when he sent the email with the drum beat, he mentioned in there that there were some samba aspects to his playing. And so I thought to myself, like, okay, let's really go there. Let's go there in a different way because, we've talked about it. Let's be about it. So I thought, I just got tired of approaching the songs with the electric guitar. So I looked over my shoulder and had my nylon. I said, all right, let's just go there. And I picked it up, and the songs, I swear, man, they write themselves. And there's something beautiful about that. Like to be a part of that, I can't necessarily take ownership of it. It's just a moment in time that luckily I had that guitar and that inspiration and those sounds to inspire that music. And of course, my life and who I am as a person, the way I was raised, the music I was raised listening to. So I just fell into it and started playing and layering in it. But then I remembered this is the Poet and the Joker project, so let's also rock a little bit. And then I had to pull out the electric guitar. But then I started weaving in those elements together so that it was cohesive and it told the same story. And it wasn't just like, just kind of things that don't make sense together. And it did. It made sense. I got lucky. We got lucky on that one.
The song flows really well.
Yeah, it starts off sort of at a pace and a groove in it, and Jonathan then comes in with a very strong vocal part, and then there's a break, and then this acoustic guitar comes in. It has a very Latin vibe to it. Just builds beautifully into the next vocal part. And then that same break happens a little bit later in the song, and he just rips this electric solo right there. And it's like you said, this progression and build that the whole song is just so like perfect. I just love it. You would make me gray, wash my skin color away to build a box around me. because of that balance and flow of the building onto those guitar elements. In my opinion, that's what really does it for me.
But he's been training me on how to become more Latino, and this is a part of it. This is a part of my training, was actually writing a song that, like, it goes from samba beats to a really fast clav beat in the chorus, and that breakdown. Oh my, where it gets the bongos and boom, goop, boom, 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 goop, boom. Like you could almost salsa dance to that section. It's so good. But unfortunately, yes, genetically, I still have to check the box for Caucasian for now. We might figure it out. We might figure it out later, but I feel like we're on the right path.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad to hear that, because if you're feeling it, then that's part of it. You're giving an interview, but you're part of the band too, and so we're not really spotlighting you just because of the nature of the thing, but just, I mean, how much you bring to the table with the band, the bass playing, like you improvise your bass lines around the drums. That's pretty incredible, man. And, you are Vaniac Music. I'm sure you'll probably throw that out there, but, you're producing our work, and you're making all of our rough edges smooth and doing all those things. So I want to make sure that you get spotlighted before we leave this. Cause like I said, I was considering the dialogue a moment ago, and I thought, well, I feel like I'm talking to Jake a lot, because it feels like Jake and I are being interviewed by you. But the funny thing is that you're the third person in this band, and we're kind of introducing ourselves. So I want to make sure that you get, the right kind of attention here.
I like, this about me, Jonathan. I like not being in the spotlight. That's really where I'm most happy. Like part of the reason for my company is that I'm trying to support people and help them be in the spotlight, help them get their music produced and sounding professional and then published. And it's like, that's how I get the most satisfaction out of music, and what I do is helping people and being a small part of whatever that project is. I know this is different because this is a trio, and I think ever since Primus came about, the bass player is sort of a little bit more important than they used to be way back in the day. I appreciate that invite, by the way, to talk about like the bass parts. For me, I can't study, I can't do homework, I can't practice. I don't know why, it just kills my soul a little bit when I try to practice and study. I just that's been my approach to the bass in these songs. It's just, I hear it and then it comes to me, and then I put it down there. And probably some of my influences come through and all that too, I would imagine. But like I said, I really don't like being in the spotlight. I like being in a supporting role more than anything in almost every project. So,
Well, one thing that he didn't say was you do all of our mixing and all of our mastering, and the song is not complete until you've done all those things. And it's not just a little bit of like, turn the guitar up a little bit here, turn the bass down a little bit there. It's like, it's a lot. And I know that we've been asking a lot of, let's tweak this, let's try pulling that. But look,
if you're thinking about like 100 years from now, like how, if I'm someone that's going to be remembered, like you think about how would you be remembered? For me, the number one thing that I hope I get remembered about is the production work, and that role in helping people, bring their music to whatever their vision is for their music, and then secondarily maybe as a musician and that kind of thing. But I really like being a part of collaborations, and I like being a part of projects that are much bigger than just myself. It seems like the three of us are all actually that way. So it's probably the reason why it works out. So I want to go back to promises you made. I don't mean to change the subject, but I can't talk about myself. And I do want to make sure, that if anything, like if you're watching this video and you're like, who is this band, Poet and the Joker? I hope that if you don't listen to anything else, check out this new single that we just put out, Promises You Made. It's, it's got something magical about it. The song is intense in a lot of ways and for a lot of reasons. But that's part of the reason why I think people need to hear it. I mean, and it's going to have different meaning for different peoples for sure. There's no doubt about it, but whether you like it for the musicality and the feel of the music, or whether you're getting into it because of the lyrical content and the things that are being said and the messages, but one way or another, I think it's going to hit people, for a variety of reasons. So with that, I think the best thing that we can do right now is just link this song right at the top of the description in this video and let people have a chance to hear it. And then I actually want to encourage people to share a little bit about, like, what'd you get from it? Like, what did it mean to you? How did you interpret the lyrics? And I want to hear what people think about this thing. And then I'll also just put a little teaser out there, which is that Poet and the Joker has other music in the works right now too. We have a song that's kind of nearly complete at this point, and then a whole bunch of other ones that are in the beginning phases. So the music is going to keep coming, and I have a feeling that we're going to keep trying to top ourselves every time. And this is a band that you should pay attention to, right? So with that, I just want to say thanks to you guys for doing this interview. It's been awesome. Jake, been cool to get to know you for the first time ever.
Yeah, man. I mean, you can have an Instagram chat with somebody, and like it's hilarious that we're in a band and we have an EP and a couple singles out, and we've never been on the phone. I mean, we've sent each other messages and emails, and we email each other drum tracks back and forth. But it's crazy that you can put a band together and be in different parts of the country.
I mean, we're totally postmodern. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to look forward to what's next, and let's see what people think about this song.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. We'll talk soon. Cheers.
Thanks. See ya.
Thank you, Jonathan. Appreciate the crotch shot. That was great.
Right in front of the camera.
Make sure you do that at least a few times before we wrap up.
I got it at this point in my life. I got to do whatever it takes. I'm running out of time to make it.